All right, let's start. So a big thank you for everyone for joining this morning, this afternoon. I'd like to welcome everyone to another session of Learn with the Expert. My name is Sebastian Lopez. I'm the founder and CEO of Jolt Digital. So we've launched Learn with the Expert to fight two industry issues. The first one is to help people who were part of layoffs. And we've heard this week recently that there was another one with Spotify. And the second one is to share knowledge with clients, with managers, with marketers, so more can learn about what's happening under the hood. So with this in mind, I'm very pleased to welcome our expert today. Monish is our expert, and he'll take us through the first-party data, how to leverage first-party data, and also how to use identifier for the future, because we all know the cookieless world is coming very fast. So thank you very much, Monish, for accepting to be our expert today. We are all super excited about it, and the floor is yours. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you, Sebastian and Jason, for the opportunity. Can everyone hear me all right? Seb, can you confirm that you can hear me well?
Yes, perfect.
And
Absolutely,
can you see the screen
Monish,
as well that I've shared?
Can see the screen. Yes, perfect. We can see the screen. Perfect. Thank you for sharing. Please go ahead. All good. Awesome. Thank you very much.
Did you went through this slide already, right? So I can skip this now.
Yes, it's just exactly. You can skip it. It's just a summary of Learn with the Expert, and you can deep dive directly into today's cookieless world.
Perfect. Thank you, everyone. I'll do my introduction in a bit, but just for today, we are going to go through a topic that's very close to my heart, and I'm very passionate about this. Are your brands ready for a cookieless world? As you know, that we're entering a world where cookies are no longer going to be available. I think Neeraj in his last session mentioned a little bit of this, and today take this as a continuation of what he went through last time. And it's more of a practical way and also simple steps to take when you're looking at first-party data and also identifiers. So a little bit about me. So my name is Monish. You can call me Mo. I have 15 years of experience in ad tech across publishers, technology partners, and I've been working in Australia and Singapore. So I spent my career in Australia for the first 9 to 10 years. And now for the last 6 years, I've been working in Singapore. And across the companies that I've worked with, it's been a lot of publishers or technology companies, and I've learned a lot about platforms and also the use of data, how they manage first-party data, how they look at data monetization, and how also we go into partnership with other data companies as well. I recently just finished up at the Trade Desk. I was there for about 2.5 years, and currently I'm looking for a new opportunity, either in Singapore, in Australia, or in Hong Kong, where I can actually work from a immigration or legal perspective. Looking forward to taking you all through the topic today. So just to go through a little bit of the agenda for today, we'll be looking at why cookieless and also first-party data. We'll also be looking at first-party data strategies. We'll be looking at identity and how does that work in detail. And I'll also be going through a little bit about the identity case study. So this is what potential results you might get from using an identity partner. And I'll also go through a little bit examples of what partners are out there. And Jason, I think, has kindly helped with managing the Q&A session. So looking forward to seeing all your questions and how I can help you answer them as well. So to dive right in, why cookieless and first-party data? Why should we look at this? And why is this a concern right now? I think, as I said earlier, Neeraj kind of touched on this a little bit in the last session. But the data that we use and how we're using it, it's changing. And the industry is changing with it as well. So some things that we need to look at are privacy regulations, increasing concerns over consumer privacy, big tech restrictions on data signals like third-party cookies, and also the growth of marketing tools like clean rooms and CDPs. So today I'm not going to go through a lot of like the clean rooms and CDPs part because that's what Neeraj went through last time. But what I wanted to go through more is how do you combat this and what do you need to do to think about as a brand, as a publisher? How do you move forward in 2024 and what are some of those strategies to look at? So in order to look at that, I wanted to go back a little bit and talk about the differences between the different audience data types that we have right now. And I'll dive deeper in my next slide on what this means for you. So just to go through a little bit of what this is, we have zero party data, first party, second party, and third party. So zero party data is data that consumers freely and intentionally share with your company. First party data is data that you own because you have obtained it from your audience. So let's not get mixed up with these two, zero party and first party. These are two data types that I'll be focusing on in my presentation today. So keep an eye on those. Second party data is data that's from a reliable source that you can use and customize. So this is something like one publisher wants to kind of use second party data to share with another publisher to kind of combine their efforts together. Third party data is data that you don't own and it's aggregated from other sources. So you must be using third party data right now for your campaigns because that's the companies like IOTA, Lodemy, those kinds of companies that have third party data that you can buy from as well. So to kind of dive a little bit deeper into this, I have a table here that explains it a little bit further. So first party data and second party data are a little bit similar in a way, but one is direct relationship with the customer and one is indirect customer relationship. So both are collected with consent and they have high accuracy and reliability. But one thing to consider with first party, second party, and also zero party is that scale is always an issue. We have to always combine it right now with some form of third party data to look at scaling within campaigns and spending the amount of budget that you have as well. So some examples of first party data can be customers' email, phone number, and this can be hash or non-hash depending on the partner that you use and the provider that you use, purchase history, loyalty program info. Second party data, as I mentioned, can be shared between two specific partners or group, especially if one partner has specific data sets that are more rich than another partner. They can look at going into partnership for that. Third party data, although is good from a scalable perspective, but it has low accuracy and reliability. And most of the time you're looking at aggregated data. So these are data sets like income, age, education, etc. And zero party data is more about like customized data that's collected with consent and it's a direct relationship with the customer. So I'm going to explain a little bit more with examples in my presentation. But first, I wanted to take you through a journey of a brand. What does it mean for brand these days? So as you know, cookieless is going away. We're going to have a challenge where there's a lot of audience targeting that's happening in the market, and it's not going to be available in terms of targeting from a cookie perspective. So from brand perspective, we're looking at heavy usage of audience targeting currently using third-party data via multiple data partners. Like I mentioned, the IOTAs, the Lodemies of the world. Currently advertising at scale and achieving objectives and results, reaching a wide audience across multiple channels. So they're used to running with third-party data across multiple channels, and these have helped them achieve their objectives and results right now. They are concerned about what the cookieless future means to them and how targeting will actually change in terms of reaching their current and also new audiences. So today we're going to look at, as a brand, what do we need to do to think a little bit differently about what our hygiene solution is or hygiene strategy is and how to think a little bit outside of the box. And I wanted to highlight two specific examples of companies that I've worked with in the past. One is out of Indonesia and one is out of Singapore. And I'm going to explain through what they do in a little bit more detail. So example number one is a company called Grivy. And let's talk about Grivy from a first party data perspective. So Grivy enables to build future proof brands with the use of data and technology. So they have their own technology that can actually assist you with building more touch points in terms of what your brand needs to look at, specifically to a point of purchase. So over here is a little bit of an example of what Grivy can do for you, from all the way from different channels that they have to the different touch points as well. So you can, one, acquire new brand buyers and validate it all the way from click to transaction. You can grow in-store sales along with it, and you can also look at driving impulse purchases through these targeting touch points that they have. And I want to talk about Grivy with an example. So Grivy has been working with a leading beverage company in Indonesia. And what they've done is they've actually allowed that leading beverage company to find new customers through their technology. So let's say this beverage company has a vending machine in MRT stations or train stations in Indonesia, in Jakarta. So they're able to help run a messaging through that vending machine where people can go interact with the vending machine and look at getting free bottles of that beverages throughout this whole campaign period. But in order to receive that beverage, you have to scan a QR code from that vending machine and receive an OTP from the platform that's powered by Grivy, where Grivy will collect your information in terms of your email address, phone number, etc., that they will be able to provide an OTP back to you. And with that OTP, you're able to actually gain access to that free beverage. So it's sort of like I provide you with something and you get something in return. What you can do with that data is actually really important from a brand perspective, because you're able to look at pushing the real-time data back to any of the ad platforms that you're working with right now, right? So you know exactly that as a beverage customer, these are my customers. They know that these are the ones that are interested in my brand. And what am I going to do with that data is really important. And you can look at all the different platforms that Grivy can integrate with, and look at a continuous feedback loop from all the campaigns that you have. And this is where you collect your data, and it becomes your first party data to use as an audience creation to all these endpoints as well. So that's example number one, which is Grivy, right? Example number two, I want to talk about a company called Bounty Media. Bounty Media is a company that focuses on zero party data, but the specific product I want to talk about today is called Bounty Pay. So Bounty Pay is a payment platform that allows advertisers to pay for consumer access to your products and services. And with Bounty Pay, consumers don't have to spend their own money, but they get paid for their subscriptions instead. So I'm going to take you through a journey of how Bounty can actually work. So the user journey looks a little bit like this. You see an offer, and I want you to put yourself in someone's situation when they're looking at an offer, or yourself when you look at an offer in the first place. So let's say you love watching a OTT show or CTV show right now that really is giving you the excitement right now. Like say it's a Korean show or something along those lines, and an offer appears and you look at it and it's actually targeting based on what you like, and you click on that offer. When you click on that offer, you have to verify, right? You get a real-time OTP from a phone verification for identity purposes. And what happens after this, you qualify as the exact target audience for that specific campaign. Now, what happens in terms of tailoring that conversation to that specific audience itself? Because you verified and we know that you're a match, you can then provide your name, date of birth, gender, location, verified email into that specific need, and you answer a specific brand or product survey question, right? So this will help you in order help the brand to understand who you are, and for us to understand whether you are part of our customer or not. Because you're doing all this, you actually get rewarded and you get a redemption based on that. So let's go back to that example of the OTT show. It's your favorite Korean OTT show. You want to watch that show, but you have to actually pay a subscription. And you don't want to pay a subscription because you only want to watch one show. So what Bounty can provide is, working with that OTT platform, you're able to watch an ad because you know that we've matched you as the right target audience for that. And you enter specific details such as your name, date of birth, gender, location, etc. And you get rewarded. And that reward is you unlock that episode for that OTT show specifically. So in summary, I've gone through from a data perspective two platforms. One is called Grivy and one is called Bounty. And these are two platforms that you may or may not have heard of. And if you have specific questions about how they work, I can share with you more about it post the call or later in the question and answers. I know both of the companies really well, and I can also connect you with them if you want to find out more in terms of whether they exist in your region and whether they can work with you from a brand or even publisher perspective as well. Now, sorry.
Sorry, I know there's
Yeah.
a Q&A at the end of it,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
I also do not want to forget, because I think first party and zero party, they are almost very, very similar. And I
Correct.
rarely use the concept of zero party when I speak to client as well. So maybe if you can just, quickly highlight in from that slide, or in the perspective of Bounty,
Yeah.
what is exactly a zero party data?
So because like I said in my slide earlier, right? The difference. Let me just go back to that slide. Sorry. So it's easier to explain. Was that Jason, by the way?
It's Kai.
Oh, Kai. Sorry. Sorry, I can't see anyone because of my presentation. So if you don't mind mentioning who you are, so I know as well at the same time. Sorry, just went back. So zero party, right, is data that also is similar to first party. As you can see over here, both are collected with consent, both have high accuracy and reliability, and both have direct relationship with the consumer. But if you see over here, first party data is data that you eventually already own because you obtained it directly from that audience. So in the Grivy example, the first party, you can see that let's say it's a CPG brand, right? And you're targeting based on CPG customers itself. But for zero party is data that consumers are freely and intentionally sharing with you. In that example of Bounty, it's that Bounty Pay product where you want to watch the show. So that's why you're actually sharing your data with Bounty to unlock that show in first place. Or if you want that specific promotion, as an example. I hope that answered your question.
Yeah, understand.
Perfect. Cool. Jason, any questions at all? Or we just take it at the end is better, right?
Hey Mo, and hi everyone on the call. I think we can do a Q&A later, but if there's any questions in the meantime, please use the in-call messages. I'll make sure we address that during the Q&A. Yeah, Mo,
Thanks,
please
Jason.
continue. No problem.
Yeah, thank you. Sorry, I can't see anyone. That's why it's hard
No
for me
worries.
to yeah. Cool. Next, I want to go through, and the last topic for today is identity. So what is identity and why is this actually important for you? Identity is the currency that we use to make informed decisions when buying media digitally, right? Right now, what identity is today is cookie ID and device ID, right? But when we move towards the future of cookieless, we have to look at things such as email address and phone numbers. Because what identity is today is used for planning, for analytics, targeting audiences, measurement attribution, cross-device frequency control, etc. Like this is really crucial. For anyone running campaigns right now, you are using all of this to power an identity today. That's powering it is your cookie and device ID. So what happens next and how does it work for you? I'm going to go through a little bit of a journey of how this would work from a brand and also a publisher perspective, and how identity plays a pivotal role in this. So the first thing is take an example of yourself. Like if you're a brand right now, as a brand, you have email addresses or PII data such as phone numbers. You use an identity solution. So in this case, we can use like live ramp ID or unified ID from the trade desk. You can onboard that or your email addresses or your phone numbers to that identity solution. And the reason you do this is because you want to seek opportunities to reach your known brand customers with your ads. But you can't do this alone. You don't only need an identity solution, but you also need a partner to work with you. There comes the publisher. So where the publisher can help with this is they also have registered users as part of their publisher ecosystem that register via email or phone numbers. They also look at encrypting this email address into that identity solution. So similarly, it could be that ramp ID, it could be that unified ID from the trade desk. The user then interacts with that ad on the publisher's site, right? So you have, for example, myself, Monish Tudani, and my email address is, so-and-so at gmail.com. And I am also registered as part of that publisher. Now you connect both the brand that's trying to find that audience and found that audience on the publisher's site. Because of identity, we know who that person is, and the solutions such as the onboarding solutions and the identity solutions are also helping with that. And this replaces what cookies were actually doing for you in the first place. So the ad opportunity for that user appears, and that ID solution helps to build that visibility between the brand and the publisher itself. And what happens after that is the brand wins the bids and impressions, knowing user is associated with that brand customer. So you know exactly who you're targeting and where you're targeting. But there needs to be an understanding between what PII or non-PII data that the brand has to what the publisher has as a match. I think in the cookie era, we were always talking about the match rate. But now for identity, we need to look at how many email addresses do you have? How many email addresses will actually be able to reach based on the publisher's email address list as well? So it's really important to look at scalability and reach. But how do you look at this? And what do you need to do right now to think about where this looks at as potential results? So in terms of results that we looked at, the challenge right now is the upcoming cookieless changes. We're unsure about reach, frequency, and targeting capabilities. Now, the solution here that we can look at is leveraging an identity solution that's available in market. And the most important thing that we need to do is running test and learn campaigns, right? If you don't do this, you won't know what the potential results for you is going to look like. Every brand is different. And we need to think about how we run these test campaigns. And when we've run these campaigns in the past, I mean, what I've run in the past, based on my experience, we've seen a 30% lower CPA and a 20% lower CPM. Targeting is personalized to the audience who are part of that brand CRM list, and we use lookalikes to scale, right? So different solutions will have different capabilities. I can help you with that. I can help talk to you about what solution you're using right now. But always remember that you need to run a few tests, isolating the identity campaign by itself, also with lookalikes, and run it against the third-party data campaigns that you're also running right now, because you want to see the difference and you want to showcase as well where the results are actually changing for you and whether targeting people that you know as part of this new identity solution are actually providing you with better results compared to the third-party data or cookie way of targeting in the first place. Now, I mentioned earlier as well some examples of ID partners that you can work with. These are just some basic examples that I pulled out from this article that I saw called Third Door Media Inc. And I'm happy to share that article as well. As you can see, LiveRamp is here, one of them. The Trade Desk is also another one. But there are a lot of different solutions that you can look at. I'm happy to talk to you post this call offline about any solutions. You can reach out to me and I can give you my experience as well on what I've used in the past. So in conclusion, there are a couple of steps that I want you to think of when you're looking at using identity solution in the first place and running first-party data campaigns. Number one, know where you stand. Look at your current business, where you're at before you create a plan. If you're looking at using email addresses and phone numbers, how many do you have? How do you look at scaling that? Are you working with the right partners? Do you have the right strategy? Number two, test and test and test again. We've run so many tests. I've run so many tests in my time. I know exactly from different verticals what we're looking at in terms of what their hygiene results look like, what their identity results look like. And it gives you better in terms of reviewing that scales versus metrics or results. Number three, explore solutions. Remember to always go shopping, like shop around for the potential solution or possible solution that actually works for you and works towards your objective. Are you a publisher? Are you a brand? What are you looking at right now in terms of solution and what challenges you have as well? Implement and test. Even though everything may seem to be completed, always remember to continue testing. If you've done step number two, remember to also test again, because different brands and different campaigns may have different results as well. And number five, stay alert, right? Keep an eye on the ever-changing landscape that we live in right now. Our industry is always changing. There's always news coming out of things that are happening or new partners that are coming into play. Be open about it and be willing to also work with these partners and understanding how they can help you with your plan. And with that, I just wanted to conclude my session, and I hope you really got a lot out of it. I tried to help you with a lot of examples there. And if you have any other questions and I can help you with other examples, I'm more than happy to do that as well. Thank you for your time. Really appreciate, for people joining all the way from London. I know it's different time zone everywhere. So globally, I'm really excited to help share this today with you. And I hope you got something out of it as well. I'll open up to questions.
Thanks, Mo. So it's a great half an hour. So we got quite a few people on the call. So let us know, is there anyone who wants to start the ball rolling? Any questions that you might have? Anything from the floor?
Okay, maybe I have a question. Okay, I do have a question. So the first question that I have, right? Let's say that I am a client or I'm an agency and I have a first-party data. I have no idea what to do with those data. It's just emails, names, and maybe contact details. How then do I nourish this data? How do I scale it up? Do I work with Lotame? Where do I house those data to make it even bigger?
Very good question, Carol. I'm very happy you asked that question. You can see the smile on my face. I'm very happy. So basically, you can do a few things here. Number one, I think your first challenge is you want to know where you should house this data, right? What platforms you should look at. So you can look at multiple platforms. You have your Lodames, you have your LiveRamps of the world. You can work with those type of I would call them something like a CDP partner in this case, where you can house those data. You can store it, right? Now, once you've done that, you want to look at scaling your data, right? So with scaling your data, you can look at working with these partners on understanding if lookalikes, finding similar people as the ones that you've already added to that platform, will help you. Or if you're a brand, you can also work with companies like what I mentioned, like Grivy and Bounty Media, to also scale it outside of the normal lookalike way of scaling your data for campaign purposes, right? So I think a lot of people may have heard, the traditional way of collecting people's information. You would have someone in the shopping mall who's an insurance agent asking you for your phone number, your email address, your names, etc. So I think what Grivy and Bounty are doing is something similar to that, but just more in a new age way that we live in right now and moving to the digitalized world that we're in. Hope that helps you, Carol.
Thank you for the response, Mo. Appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank Kai. Any other questions from the floor?
Yeah, I've got one comment, question. Hi, Manish. Thank you very much for the details. I'm surprised. I'm from an advertising background, and I'm surprised the word contextual hasn't been mentioned in terms of the ability to reach, with or without any cookie in your bag, using contextual solutions to reach at scale. Because the reality is, lots of brands have data, but lots of brands don't. If you are selling, toothpaste or things like that, you may have some data, but brand only grows when they reach new customers, not by convincing existing customers to buy more. So if you need to reach the scale and you don't have much data, contextual is surely one of the key solutions to leverage with the death of cookies. So I wanted to hear your point of views on that.
Yeah, thank you for bringing. I obviously did not bring that up, but yes, contextual is another way of doing it. Another way of looking at it. I think if you go back to what I mentioned about testing and learning, you can use contextual as another strategy, right? So you can look at the third-party data, first-party data, identity, and contextual together, running a campaign and see where you scale the most and where your results are within those strategies as well. And if contextual is something that works for you, I would definitely push more budget towards that as well. Yeah. So thank you for bringing that up. I really appreciate it.
Okay. Thanks, Thomas. Hope that answers your question. Yeah.
Very good question so far. Keep it coming.
So more, maybe just to build on the question from Kai and Thomas, right?
Yeah.
Looking at all those things that we need to do, we need to build up and scale up the data, look at different strategies. Is this something that only marketers with big budget can afford? What if my clients don't have much money? Where do they start? Is this something only the big boys can do?
No, it's not just the big boys that are in this pool or in this party. The smaller players can also join the party. I think there are, as I mentioned earlier, there are a lot of different platforms that help you with this, right? So you can go shopping and find the solution that works for you in terms of price as well. And I was at the trade desk for a long time, right? You can also work with the trade desk using their unified ID solution to help you start this. And we were working with clients that are both big and also medium size as well, right? So I don't think it's just stopgap for them. I think maybe it's just they need someone to join the party first and then send a WhatsApp message and say, hey, come along, it's for everyone. So I think we need a little bit more education in the market. And if you are a champion for this in your region, I would really encourage you to also help brands like the smaller brands to understand this a little bit better.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Any other questions from the floor?
I don't think I'm not as famous as Neeraj. I think he got more questions. Right, Neeraj?
It was very well explained, Manish.
So,
any other questions,
Take that as
guys, don't hesitate. Yeah, don't hesitate. We have an expert here, so please go ahead.
Yeah.
I think Mo, just add on to your point, because why not, right? Tag team.
Yeah.
I think this is some of the strategies that you outlined. One thing is just making sure you do your hygiene and working with your agencies, no matter how big your budgets are, on just making sure you're tagging your site correctly. You are as marketers, as brands, you are talking to your consumers across different channels, emails, out of home, TV, what have you. There's actually better mechanisms now and solutions out there, even using the various upgraded versions of Google Google A4 or Tag Manager to start getting that hygiene in place. It's very important because that allows you to increase your foundation from a crawl perspective, and then your walk and run. When you have your data foundation of first-party data in place, use the CDP, start doing some interesting things on segmentation, lookalikes, things along those lines. And then when you want to run a marathon, start thinking about data clean rooms as a way to do augmentation, to work with other parties to enhance your first-party data, to learn something more, and a strength of numbers approach. That'd be my advice.
Thanks, Neeraj.
Thank you.
Very well explained. Appreciate it.
All right.
Cool.
Maybe on my end, just maybe one last question, just to add on to it. We talked about money, whether it's something that big clients can play in. So beyond that, so you also mentioned that you expect like 30% lower CPA, 20% lower CPM. So the thing that marketers have besides budget is time. How much runway or how much time do you typically see in your experience before marketers starts to see this kind of like payback for their investment or their focus on cookieless world and solutions?
You're putting me on the spot now, Jason. Yeah, I think very good question. Thank you for that. I would say use 1 quarter as your ballpark. So, run campaigns for the first 3 months, like first month, second month, third month, and then use that as your benchmark for the next quarter, right? To see, okay, where should I invest? Should I continue to invest in this because it works for me? Or should I relook at what optimization and strategies I need to look at in terms of why it's not working, right? I think for every brand and every customer, it's different, right? I can't give you like a whole range of like, it's going to work. I think everyone needs to do their own testing with their own partners to find what works for you. It could be a specific channel that works for you, or it could be like various channels that you have to look at to make it work for you, depending on the market, depending on the region, and also the maturity of that region itself, right? Like I mentioned earlier, within that spectrum of publisher and brand, right? Like if the brand has a lot of data to put in and to try and find in the ecosystem, but there's not enough publishers actually with that amount of email addresses or scale, then like one or the other is not going to work, right? So you need to look at the economies of scale in that case.
Cool. Thank you. At least that gives us a time frame, and that's great. I guess for agency leads as well who need to advise clients.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm happy, like if anyone is shy to ask on the call today, feel free to send me a LinkedIn message. I'm happy to connect with you at any time to help you on any of this. I'm more than happy to chat about this anytime. It's my favorite coffee and chat. We can do whatever works for you. Yeah.
Thanks, Mo.
Cool. Thank you.
Yeah, right. I think we can conclude the session today. Thank you very much, Monish, for taking us through that. Thanks, Jason, for moderating the Q&A. Really appreciate it. I think today was a great session to go more into the cookieless world in a very practical way. So thanks for that. Please have a look at our page. You'll see our recording. We'll post a full recording on our YouTube page, on LinkedIn. We'll have a new Learn with the Expert session in the new year in January about paid social media. So very different topic, but very important topic for marketers as well. So keep an eye for that. It will be coming in the new year. Thanks again, everyone, for joining. And I wish you a good evening and a good day.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Jason.
Take
you,
care.
Thank you very much.